Hello everybody and welcome to the PHP series. This is episode 9 and this episode is all about CRUD operations with PHP and MySQL. So in the previous episode we connected our database with PHP, that is PHP with MySQL, and now it's time for the real fun, that is CRUD operations. So if you haven't checked out episode 8, you will miss some of the things that I explained regarding creating a table, in fact creating a database and creating a table inside the database, inserting data into table and reading data from the table. So we have explored the CR part of CRUD, that is CRUD, but CRUD basically stands for create, read, update and delete. So these four actions form the backbone of every dynamic website, and these are basically the bare minimum, right? So these are present in social media and even e-commerce platforms. So today we'll write code for each one using PHP and MySQL. So let's jump right in. Now first we'll start with the create part. So inside create we will be inserting data just like in episode 1. So this is discussed in episode 1, but if you're new to this, episode 8, but if you're new to this, I have opened our previous file from our episode 8 and I had commented that code, so I will just uncomment this. Now, if we set up Bob and then bob@example.com. So this is how it works basically. First you create a variable called con, this is our connection variable, and then we use something called MySQLi connect. And inside MySQLi connect we enter 4 parameters. First is our server name. Since we're using XAMPP and localhost, it will be localhost, and this will be our username. And the default username in XAMPP is root, so we have entered root. This is for password, and since the default password is nothing in XAMPP, we have entered an empty string. And finally our database to be connected. Now let me just push this to the side, and okay, just so you know, I have opened up Apache server and MySQL from XAMPP. So if I type out here php localhost /myadmin php myadmin, it will open up the database and PHP MyAdmin UI. So like I said, we had previously created this database through new. So we have connected our PHP with this database right here. And inside this we had created a table called users. Now inside this there's already present an ID, name and email, basically a row of data called Alice. But here we have run the query using Bob. So first of all, if the connection, once again I'm repeating this from the previous episode, if the connection is not successful, this basically returns a true or false value. So if the connection is not successful, it will terminate the entire script with something called die, right? Now if the connection is successful, it will echo out connected to the database successfully. So it will not execute this condition at all, and it will echo out this. Now to insert data into our table, we have created 2 variables. One is called name, another is called email. So inside name we have Bob, and inside email we have bob@example.com. Now we have run an SQL query through our string, this variable. So our SQL query is insert into our users table. This is our users table. So insert into our users table. Inside our name and email parameters, that is our name and email columns, we have inserted the name, that is Bob, and our email, that is bob@example.com. Now in order to run this query, we have to use something called MySQLi query, and inside those we have to enter first of all the database that we are connecting to, so our con variable, our connection variable, and our SQL query. So in our testDB database we have run this query SQL, right, and we have inserted into our users table. Now this also returns a true or false value. So if the connection, or if the query is run successfully, it will tell us user added, and if not, it will throw us an error. And this last line is basically to close the connection between our PHP and our database, and this is necessary if you want to work with other databases as well. If you write down this code, you can type out this line once again and update your database parameter. So yeah, that is how it works. Now in order to execute this script, I'll just load localhost index.php, and it will say new user added successfully. So let's check this out, and I have added Bob. and this is basically set to auto increment, so that is why it's 2 after 4. I have deleted the keys 1 and 3. And the reason I'm going so fast is because this video already has the update and delete to be discussed, and I have discussed this inserting and basically creating data phase inside PHP already in our 8th episode, so that's why I'm going so fast. So okay, if you don't understand this, I suggest you look at our episode 8, link will be in the description. Now after that, we will also, what, I don't even have to delete all of this. We will keep this connection variable, and we will have to keep our SQL query variable as well. So that was for our create part, right? Now after create, we have C, now R, CRUD, so read. This is for displaying data. Now we have already done this in the episode 8. We have already done this also in episode 8, but this time let's do it a bit different. Let's fetch and display all users from our table inside a table. So first of all, let's delete all this and expand this a bit. And as for our query, we will learn a select query. So we'll select everything, and that is star. Select everything from our users table. So our table name is users, so select everything, that is select all from users, and then that is basically our query. Now as for our running the query, we'll store this result in a variable called result, and we will run MySQLi underscore query, and then $con, this is our connection variable. So yeah, I've explained that already. And $SQL, so this is our SQL query to be run. Now if MySQLi num rows, so as discussed before, if we put in our result variable inside this will basically give us the result. So if we have selected everything from our users table, first of all, this will give us this row to Alice and Alice at example.com, and next up it will give us this row. So that is what basically MySQLi num rows does. So if our number of rows is more than 0, we will execute and make a table. So echo, and we'll write some HTML. So table tag and then border equals 1, and then after that we'll create a table row, and inside that a table head, which will have our ID, and we'll close our table head, close our table row. No, actually we'll create another table head called name, and then we'll close our table head. Once again table head for, and this time it's for our email. So those are the 3 columns that we have in our MySQL database. So this is for email, and close table head. You know what, let's not keep space here. After that we'll close the table row. Now after this, while we store our SQL data in a variable called row, and this will basically be an associative array. So MySQLi fetch assoc $result. So what this is doing is it is converting the data that is retrieved, that is it is converting MySQL rows into associative arrays. So MySQLi fetch assoc means it fetches the rows from our MySQL database and converts them into associative arrays. So in order to access those associative array keys and values, we'll use the box notation. So box notation. So tr, once again table row, and as for our table data, we will first of all close this and concatenate our row associative array, but inside the row we'll access ID. Okay, we'll be accessing ID, and then we'll be basically concatenating closing td as well. Now once again we'll create td And you know what, let me just repeat this line. Alt shift down, it'll copy that. Alt shift down once again. Alt shift down, but instead of td, we'll keep here tr. No, we'll close our table row, and then close our string, and then end it with a semicolon. So at first we'll access row ID, and then after that our name, so name, and after that our email. Okay, now after that we will close our table tag, so we'll echo out /table, and this is all inside our if condition. So if first of all it has no results and there's no data is present in our database, it should just say no users found. So echo no users found, and we have closed our connection to our database already. So let's run our PHP file. Let's see if there are any errors. So no errors at all. Okay, now I'll explain basically what happened. So select star from users means it this query selects everything, that is every row from our database. So since there are two rows, first of all 2 rows are selected, and since there are 2 rows, obviously the value that MySQLi num rows returns is more than 0. So 2 is more than 0, so this code executes and makes a table header. And but it checks and converts the row data into associative array data. So while row, we store our row data in this associative array variable. It will access that those values from variable by using their keys, and after that they'll insert it in a table. So that is why we have created an HTML table format and ended our table tag. Now let's say we delete all of this, right? Okay, I'll refresh this and I'll delete the other data as well. If we delete all of this and run this query once again, it will say no users found, since MySQLi num rows will not return anything at all. And you know why? Because there are no rows at all present in our users table. So our users table should be empty when we check up on it. So ID, name, email, but this is empty. And as you can see, since we have run this query, it is visible here as well. This is our last query that we run in our MySQL database. So that is how reading data, that is printing out or displaying data, works from PHP. Okay, now that we have created, that is inserted data into our database, and read data, that is displayed data from our database, it's time for updating data or editing data. So let's say a user wants to update their name. Here's how to update the name of the user with the ID. So for now, our database has a username called Alice, or name called Alice, with an ID of 1. So let's set this aside and open our VS Code, and this is how you would update the data through an SQL query. So first of all, you type out SQL equals update. Which table are you updating from? So users, and then set name equals, let's say we want to change the name of Alice to Bob, where ID equals 1. Now this is our SQL query to be run. Now just like before, we have to put MySQLi query, so MySQLi underscore query, and inside our query we'll put first of all our connection variable that is gone, and then our query to be run. Now if this query is successful, that is if the ID is, if the name is updated successfully, it will type out record updated successfully, and if not, that is else, it will echo out an error occurred, and it will concatenate the MySQLi error, and inside this it's gone. Okay, now after that I will close the connection with the database, so MySQLi underscore close. Okay, and inside this it's gone. Now it's basically searching for name to be updated, but it is searching the name to be updated by ID. So since it has an ID of 1, Alice will be changed to Bob. So we'll run this, and it says record updated successfully, meaning that it should be changed to Bob. So Bob. So that is how you update the values to PHP and MySQL. So you change the name. You can also change the email actually. So if I type out here email equals bob@gmail.com and run this, it should update the email to bob@gmail.com. So that is how you edit data or update data from PHP and MySQL. Now let's talk about deleting data. Now all of this will stay the same. We'll just change the query. Now instead of update, we'll type out delete, or actually delete in caps. We'll delete from our users table where ID equals 1. Now this is deleting a whole row. Keep that in mind. So instead of record updated successfully, we'll type out record deleted successfully. Now we'll save this and we'll make a record deleted now, meaning this should not have any record at all. So it is empty. The table is empty. Just like that, the row with ID 1 is gone. So you have to be careful with delete, since once the data is gone, it's gone unless you back it up. And that was basically it for this video. It was pretty simple. It was built upon, this video was built upon the foundation from episode 8, but I think the concept of CRUD, or create, read, update and delete, from PHP and MySQL is pretty clear. Keep in mind that you should always use MySQLi error to debug your queries during development. And let's review what we did today. We used insert to add users, we used select to fetch them, update to modify them, and delete to remove them. So nice work. You have now performed full CRUD operations with PHP and MySQL, a critical foundation for building blogs, dashboards, admin panels, and more. Now in the next episode, we'll build a real-time user registration form and insert that data into your database, all live. So if you like this video or found it helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss what's coming up next. But until then, bye bye and happy coding.